What? You what? 800 subs. There aren't 800 people in the radio control helicopter hobby, let alone 800 subs. What are they all doing? Get out more. 800? That's madness. And one of them's what? One of them's a young lad. Dani. Right, well, this video's for you, Dani. Welcome, legends and heliheads and choppers and dick bangers and twizzle whizzle thumbs. Welcome to this episode on Helished, dedicated to a young fan called Dani. Welcome, Dani. Now, I've only got an IQ of 3, remember. Breathing, eating and sleeping. So I use poems, little rhymes to remind me of what I need to do. So, for example, there's one poem which goes, when fitting a bearing, use Loctite green. Another one, of course, as we all know, where metal and metal is true, use Loctite blue. But we never use red, not at Helished. And the third one is, if you lose your heli, you're a bit of a Nelly. And you can see about that in the top right hand corner where I lost a 700 size helicopter. Now, if you remember, we've done a series of videos on lighting and different ways in which we can make sure that we have good observation of our helicopter and we never lose it. Well, there's something else to add now. ViFly, and I've done a video on that in the top right hand corner on their lighting systems. Go take a look. Go on, off you go, take a look and then come back. ViFly do what I think, in my personal view, are the best lithium powered self-contained lighting systems. They're quite expensive, but I think they're the best, and they're certainly the brightest. ViFly also do a beacon, and this video we're going to take a look at that. So let's bring you over here so you can get a good old bird's eye view of what we're talking about. Okay, legends, I'm going to hand model for you. Let's remind ourselves when we looked at all the different ways that we could make sure we keep an eye on our helicopter. Of course, we come up with the lighting and the different beacons and so on. So let's remind ourselves. This one, of course, the great old battery balance connects to it. You can set up the voltage, say 3.7 volts. And when the battery gets down to that voltage, this will alarm. And it's very, very loud. Takes up very little amperage. And so consequently will last an awful long time. You shouldn't really fly a helicopter, particularly anything over 500 in my view, without something like that attached to it. And most people fly with these attached. Or not actually, but you know, if you're conscientious like I am about losing a helicopter, this is a really good cheap option. The next option that we looked at was all the different lighting systems. I've got some here. You can see that video in the top right hand side, and there's loads of different lighting videos there. Go take a look at them. But lighting was another way that we looked at, making sure we can keep good observation of our helicopter and help us retrieve it in the event we lose it. Of course, the champion of all of that was the ViFly lighting system, and I can't ratify that enough. If you want lighting systems for your helicopter, go and get the ViFly lighting. The next one was this system, the tile system, a little bit extreme and a bit more expensive, and these basically link to your Apple phone, and the tile can phone your phone. Well, clearly that's not going to happen, is it, if you strap this to your helicopter? But more importantly, you can phone it. And when you do that, this alarms, and it's powered via a 2032 lithium battery. So essentially it will last until, I don't know, the apocalypse. And fourthly, and the last one we're now going to look at, is we're going to look at the ViFly Beacon system, which is really quite good. Okay, nice little box it comes in, bit of a jiffy bag there that wraps up the beacon here. Nice little card from ViFly which gives you their guarantee satisfaction. If you're not happy, they'll replace the money or they'll give you a replacement item, and some fairly comprehensive instructions which I'll let you read through on your own accord. But this is what we want to look at here, and that is the little beacon itself. 80 milliamp battery on the back there, single cell. It will last for about 30 hours when it is alarming. Now, the really good thing about this beacon unit is it's completely independent. It doesn't need to be powered via your batteries or anything else. And it also has light emitting technology on the plastic circuit board that not only emits light but also detects light, and it also detects movement. Now, the other thing about this particular beacon is that you can set the sensitivity, one of 3 different levels, low, medium and high, via plugging the micro USB into the side here, and then programming it on the actual board. Now, we're not going to be covering that on this. We're going to leave it exactly as it is default, which is at medium sensitivity. Quick description, well, there's the battery on the back there, a little switch on the side that you push and hold, a micro USB to charge it, and a whacking great big speaker on the front there, and the PCB that we can see there with a light emitting diode and a light detecting diode. To turn it on, very simply, all we do is we press and hold the button for a couple of seconds until we hear a couple of beeps. And then we should see a little green light, and we should hear a few more tones as we've heard. Then we should witness, as you can see, a flashing green light on the PCB. It's now set so that in the event that the system detects a crash, whether it's strapped to a drone or a helicopter or you or anything else you want to strap it to, when it detects a crash, a bit like an airbag in a car, it's got sensors there that detect a crash, and this too uses the same sort of technology. It detects when it is kinetically moving and when it comes to an abrupt stop, and vibrations, etc. And when it detects that, it will alarm. Now, let's give that a go. Very gently place that down, and then we'll simulate a crash. And what we should hear then is a very low alarm, which we can hear, and we should hear that for the first sort of 30 seconds, fairly low, as we can hear a single beep. And then after 30 seconds, it will go to maximum volume, which is about 105 decibels, every 6 seconds up to 2 hours. There we go. Now that volume there is about the same, if you haven't heard that before, which I'm sure you probably have, as the volume on the battery balance method of making sure that we can find our helicopter. About 105 decibels, the same, but of course it's significantly smaller and it's not reliant on the battery on the helicopter. And of course this can go for 30 hours. After doing this for 2 hours, it will then drop to doing this every 12 seconds rather than every 6 seconds. It assumes that, you know, you've got a better chance of finding your helicopter or drone or whatever within the first 2 hours of crashing it. Once you've found it, of course, and cried because of the amount of damage that you've caused, you can then pick it up and simply turn it off. And you'll hear that double tap, and there you go, it's off. It's small, it's 6 grams, it's going to weigh absolutely nothing, and if you're on a helicopter above, I don't know, let's say a 450, this is absolutely insignificant, and you can put it anywhere. I wouldn't advise you Velcro it. This is the sort of thing that you want to double-sided sticky tape, you know, either mounting tape or registration plate tape or any sort of very high bonding tape. And then just to make sure, you want to put a small plastic cuff or a zip tie around that to make sure it doesn't come off. But this is a really good little alarm system. 30 hours. So to summarise, ViFly's beacon system for radio-controlled drones, helicopters, or your wife or anyone else you want to put it on. It has an anti-theft system, 3 particular sensitivity modes. It will detect if it is moved, and it will also detect if it crashes, and you can set that in the settings there. It'll alarm up to 105 decibels, up to 30 hours, and after the first 2 hours, it will alarm every 12 seconds, whereas previously up to 2 hours, it will alarm every 6 seconds, the volume being the same as the battery balance system that a lot of us use. Really good little system, and I thoroughly recommend it. Right, there you go, legends and heli heads and choppers and Dani, especially for... What? Sorry? He's what? He's gone to bed. He got bored and went to bed. Right, well, good night, Dani. And for the rest of you, remember, if you lose your heli, you're a bit of a Nelly. Oh my, use ViFly. Till the next one, take care, bye-bye.